Hey, what's up, guys? Listen, come in, sit down, and shut the door. Wendy Williams has been officially, well, they've admitted, diagnosed with dementia, along with a slew of other cognitive and behavioral issues. What's more, she's been in a facility seeking treatment for cognitive issues since April of 2023. Y'all, let me just say three things. One, that GD Tasha K was right. She reported this a year and a half ago. And I remember everyone, including myself, was like, Tasha, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Tasha had an inside scoop. I need to go back and see what else she said about Wendy. But two, how the F has Wendy been picking out managers and people on her team if she is in cognitive decline? And they've known about it. And it's been so bad that she's had to be in a treatment situation since April 2023. Third of all, how the heck did she sign off on this documentary? And is this why little Kev, even though he is like, I'm not going to be in the documentary, actually signed on? Because you know what they say, keep your enemies close, right? I'm not saying his mama's the enemy, but y'all get what I'm saying about those people that were trying to exploit her. Y'all, we got to get into this. On top of that, Wendy has been, on top of that, Wendy has uh been making the not press rounds, but the documentary has been exploiting her illness. There was actually a really touching scene in the documentary. I haven't seen the whole documentary, but I've seen the clips where Black China actually goes to Wendy and thanks her for being like a mom to her, being a mom figure, loving her, treating her well, and giving her kind of tough love. Let me just say this. I know a lot of people didn't like Wendy. I know Wendy did some messed up stuff, truly messed up stuff. I do not believe this is Wendy's karma, because if this was Wendy's karma, then every billionaire in the world would be in ICU. If this is Wendy's karma, then everybody that ever messed with somebody under whatever would really have the wrath of hell on their shoulders right now. You cannot say, don't get me wrong, Wendy did some messed up things. I'm not defending her. But you can honestly not say in this world where we see people dying in the streets over some oil, land, whatever, that this is karma, right? However, I will say that Wendy's predicament is the sum of a life choices and situations she didn't navigate well. It's a sum of her life choices. Running from the pain of her childhood, she dabbled in drugs. A lot of people in that era dabbled in it. I remember when they were saying, if you look at those old books about like how they treated coca, they treated it like it was weed at one point, honestly. So a lot of people in that generation was wilding out. She was in the entertainment situation. We know from Diddy and what we know about that, they was wilding in those streets. She was young, a lot of family issues, a lot of pain. Back then, people were calling her ugly giraffe. Again, I'm not making excuses, but just to let you know what she was running from. She ran into the arms of Kevin Hunter. And I literally was so down on Kevin, and I still am, because baby, he is the jinn, he is the devil, he is to blame in all this. Her husband, ex-husband. But the thing is, I always wondered, why the F would you be with somebody like Kevin? Why? Well, maybe why? Because out of the men available and what we're now starting to see with the Diddy era, the shenanigans that were going on, maybe he seemed like a good bet. But that good bet led her to decades of pain, suffering, rejection, humiliation, physical, mental, everything you can think of. And at the end of the day, the choices she made with Kevin, unfortunately, led to this cognitive decline. If you guys don't know, alcoholism can lead to cognitive decline and dementia. But let's get into these reports, because honestly, it's really sad that the industry eats up, chews up, and spits out everybody. Whether they're the hero in your story and a sweetheart or a good guy that doesn't deserve it, or whether you think they are the devil, right? They eat them up and they spit them out. Nobody is safe. Nobody at all. Anyway, let's get into this. Wendy Williams, 60, is diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia and aphasia. Aphasia? Yeah, I think that's what it is. Wendy Williams has been diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia as well as aphasia, her team announced. Let me Google what aphasia is really quick. Her team announced this, but I'm not talking about the guardianship. But how is that manager she hired, her walking around the street looking like Mr. Burns when he walked into like the nuclear factory on The Simpsons? Y'all remember when Mr. Burns was walking around in his night clothes, his eyes big, glowing in the dark, and Smithers was having a breakdown that his boo seemed to be coming apart? How is Wendy allowed to actually walk around like that? I really want to know. Because now I'm side-eyeing everybody that is making money off of her. Which, by the way, before anybody jumps in the comment, no, Kevin Jr. is not making a penny off of his mama, but he's doing what he can to protect her against what looks like very powerful forces, very powerful forces, you know? Um, let's get into this. I'm trying to Google this to actually see. If anybody knows what it is or has experience with it, please let me know in the comments. Aphasia is a language disorder caused by damage in a specific area of the brain that controls language expression and comprehension. Aphasia leaves a person unable to communicate effectively with others. Many people have aphasia as a result of a stroke. This is actually really sad because one thing that Wendy prided herself on was her communication skills. That's how she built her empire. That's how she built her life. Oh, this is wild. They said aphasia is a disorder that affects how you communicate. It impacts your speech as well as the way you write and understand both spoken and written language. That's why her podcast probably never got off the ground. Aphasia usually happens suddenly after a stroke or a head injury. Now, what's so sad about that? Remember the reports when Kevin Sr. was doing his live and he said that Wendy Williams basically had like a stroke or a heart attack or something on air, and the network didn't even want to call 911 and she almost died because of that? Do you think that's when the aphasia started? Maybe the aphasia could have actually been avoided. Again, these entertainment companies, they relish in letting the demons eat from the souls of everyone. They relish in the cruel, they relish in the disgusting, they relish in the vulgar, and they let them eat on people with abandon. But I'm beginning to see it's not an outlier. To me, this is the system. This is what they want. This is what they are paid to do. This is why they let monsters roam around, because everybody else cowers in fear. And when you have people that are, all this crazy stuff's happening, it's easier to control them. It's easier for them to say, okay, I'll take that crappy deal. It's not over. They said, as Wendy's fans are aware, in the past, she has been open with the public about her medical struggles with Graves' disease, lymphedema, as well as other significant challenges related to her health. The press release explained that the former Wendy Williams show host, 59, underwent a battery test in 2023 after her memory started to fail and she began to lose words and act erratically. Again, Tasha K was right, but also, why is this team sharing Wendy's medical information? If she can't consent to the public knowing where she is medically, why are they sharing it now? The time to share it would have been when the courts put her in a guardianship, because everybody was saying that they stole from her. They were trying to take her money out of this, that, and the third. Why y'all speaking on it now? What's going on? What's about to come out in this documentary that I don't even see how Wendy agreed? What type of guardianship is this? And also, please don't get it twisted. Oh, the courts are going to do better. Baby, stars all the time get robbed of their life savings by their money managers and their business managers. Baby, don't think just because somebody has a JD, an MD, a CPA, or words behind their name, don't think for a second that they're not above doing what they do. Anyway, they say doctors concluded Wendy struggled due to neurodegenerative diseases. Where did Tasha K get this info? Frontotemporal dementia, FTD, is a group of disorders that occur when nerve cells in the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain are lost. According to John Hopkins Medicine, FTD can affect behavior, personally, language, and movement. They said receiving a diagnosis has enabled Wendy to receive the medical care she requires. The decision to share the news was difficult and made after careful consideration, not only to advocate for understanding and compassion for Wendy, but to raise awareness about aphasia and frontotemporal dementia and support the thousands of others facing similar circumstances. But did you have her MF and permission? And if you didn't have her permission, something tells me you didn't, because people that are in cognitive decline cannot give consent. That's why she's in a guardianship. So why are you sharing this down? I don't trust the people around Wendy one bit. I'm going to have to investigate this. The press release assured fans that the former shock jock is still able to do many things for herself and has maintained her trademark sense of humor. So then why? But she couldn't consent to this. So who made the decision? Wendy remains in an undisclosed treatment center where her family claims they've been unable to reach her. She's been receiving the care she needs to make sure she's protected. So she's completely isolated from everyone in her life. But these phantom people are saying that she's protected. She's appreciative of the many kind thoughts and good wishes being sent her way. The disclosure of Williams' diseases, which from famed actor Bruce Willis also suffers, comes ahead of the release of Wendy's Lifetime documentary, Where is Wendy Williams? Is Wendy being held not even against her will? She can't give consent. You got people that only see you as a paycheck, making decisions for releasing your health information, looking after you, doing all this stuff. Y'all, we really need to talk about this just a little bit later. They said a year later, Wendy, after she collapsed on air during her daytime talk show host, Halloween 2017, that's when she was dressed as a Statue of Liberty. A year later, she pegged the incident to her Graves' disease diagnosis, but not long after that admission, she copped to living in a sober house to treat her alcoholism. Although she was sober for a while, the former radio host relapsed and checked back into rehab multiple times throughout 2022 and 2023. Y'all listen. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm going to do a little bit digging and see what's going on behind this team, because this team is moving funny, it's moving shisty, and it's moving weird. Y'all, where the F is Wendy Williams? And we need to make sure we get justice, because I don't trust anybody with her. And I don't care what Wendy's done. It's been less than any president has ever done. It's been less than any foreign power. It's been less than 80% of the music industry did, and 80% of the film industry. At the end of the day, you can't call this karma, because, baby, the most evil are still running around. So ask yourself what your definition of karma is. I will say that this is the definition of all of Wendy's life choices, both conscious and unconscious, actually catching up to her. This is the sum of her life. And this is a sad, sad thing, because like Wendy said, if it can happen to her, it can happen to anyone, y'all. Stay woke. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.